Uh-huh.
What do you think are some of the best advantages of being a white guy?
You get paid more, and you don't have to worry about being pushed around, I guess.
We pretty much persecute every other group in the United States.
Yeah, that's good.
And,
You don't have to deal with any sort of racial discrimination.
Right.
So
Hey, there's one white guy I know. Man, you should see what he's gotten just for being a nice, rich white guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Want to meet him?
Yeah. Where is
He's right here.
Okay.
Affirmative action. Are there two uglier words in the English language? Nothing could be more wrong, more un-American than promoting people who are less qualified simply because of some past injustice. Fortunately, our Supreme Court justices agree. They've struck down almost all affirmative action laws. Almost. There is still one form of affirmative action that continues to rear its ugly head, so richly rewarding the undeserving that even I decided I had to do something about it. I'm speaking, of course, of George W. Bush, affirmative action. This underachiever, who had a C average, was able to skip right over those who were more qualified simply because he was born Bush. Friend, are you one of the tragic victims of George W. Bush affirmative action? As a young boy, did you have dreams of attending the prestigious Phillips Andover Academy in 1961, but were passed over just so a little Bush boy could take your seat? Or are you one of those whose life was ruined because you could not get into Yale University in 1964 because of a Bush-loving quota system that goes back generations? Take a look at what happened to one man.
I applied to college in 1964, and I was a good student, had good grades and good SAT scores. I was interested in the Ivy League schools and Yale University in particular. So when I received a notice that I was not accepted, and the notice initially said I was on the waiting list, I understood that to mean that I would not be going to Yale University and that I would end up in California in all likelihood. I was surprised and I was disappointed. I moved to Utah in 1982 and have been doing physics research in the physics department here since that time.
Utah. Or perhaps you had hoped to go to the world-renowned Harvard Business School in 1973. But that last spot in the class was taken by a man who spent his undergrad years getting C's and D's and helping to finance a small village in Colombia. Who was that man? It was little Georgie, getting that spot that you worked for, you earned, and you deserved. It's time we stand up to this minority. Who are they to take what is rightfully yours? If you are one of these victims of George W. Bush affirmative action, contact us now and join us in a class action suit against these institutions and George Jr. himself. Put an end to this kind of unconstitutional preference and reverse discrimination that got George Jr. to where he is today. Imagine, you yourself could have ended up running for president instead of rotting in Utah.